Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Not Another Rangers podcast. It's your last Monday night edition of January, I think, if I'm remembering rightly. And we have a full team here. We have four of us here. So it's myself, Scott, Ricky, and William joining as well. So William does get to come as well when Ricky's here. I know you just to dispel any room. He isn't just covering for Ricky. He's allowed to join us as well at the same time. So it's been a busy weekend. It's been an exciting weekend. We have closed the gap on the Hearts are at the top of the table. We have moved ourselves a couple of points clear of Celtic, and we're now 15 games away from the end of the season, and we're now officially, I think today you can say officially in a title race with the. Is that you're screwing your face there, Ricky? Is it not officially in a title race now? Surely it is.
No, I'm just wondering how you've came to that conclusion just out of the blue. All of a sudden, we've been in a title race for weeks, mate.
No, really. It's just until you get close enough that you can actually and then get ahead of the opposite Celtic as well. That's to me when you're really in it now. We're only a wee bit away, so it's been a good week. Obviously, a good weekend with Celtic and Hearts drawn 2 each. We will maybe cover that slightly just because it's quite fun. Some of the stuff that's came from it, but the focus as always will be on the Rangers game where we beat Dundee 3-0 after what was a pretty long 90 minutes and a very exciting 91 to 94 minutes as far as the game went. Scott, you wouldn't have seen that. You'd been heading for the subway by that point.
Don't get a subway, Gary. Not the subway for years. No, I seen the second. I left after the second goal went in. Went down the stairs and then I was just left, and I thought I heard the cheer again. So it was good to hear because it was a long afternoon, but we weren't bad, but we weren't great either. In that way, I thought Dundee were quite structured. I thought they were quite disciplined, and we were trying stuff. It just wasn't coming off. And I think the reason is we were just lacking up front. I think the front three didn't really click all afternoon, to be honest with you, in the first half. Second half, kind of was similar. But we were still creating chances. It was just an extra touch or the wrong decision. We just needed somebody up top. Knew where the goal was, and unfortunately I wasn't yesterday, but then they ended up scoring 3 goals, so I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah. So we'll delve deep into the game over the next wee while. So before we do that, we'll just say hello to everybody's here. So how are you, Willie, today?
Hi, good mate. It's been a pretty quiet day off, so been enjoying the peace and the quiet.
Good. And before we actually start talking about the other games, Kyle Glasgow was over in the Alcast Cup. You know him probably better than any of us do. So I think he's come out in the media interview afterwards saying he's about to sign a professional contract. Rangers, great news for the club.
Yeah, and probably slightly unexpected, to be honest. Obviously, a wee while ago, you were starting to hear some of the names of the clubs that were interested in him, and obviously him having the Portuguese passport and stuff like that. So that kind of opens up the whole of Europe to him in a lot of ways. So yeah, look, it's unbelievable news that he's chosen to stay. He obviously must feel like there's an opportunity for him to actually get a chance to play in the first team. Can only imagine, that Danny Rose spoke to him personally and maybe gave him certain guarantees. Well, if that comes to fruition or not, obviously we'll find out. But yeah, slightly surprised, but obviously really happy about it. Kyle's a really talented young footballer, somebody that was highly sought after. So the club have obviously had to put a good offer on the table to keep him, but he's obviously made his decision to stay as well, which is really good moving forward for the club, because it kind of protects us as well, that if he does mature into the player that some people think he can be, that he could be worth a lot of money in the future if things go to plan.
See we talk about him, right? So you've obviously got your guys like Lowry, Rice, all these other ones that come and go and then just don't quite make it for whatever reason. How you've seen a lot of them. How good does Kyle Glasgow compare to them? Or it's hard to obviously judge at that age because there's a lot of development to do.
Yeah, it's really difficult. I mean, obviously, quite a few people ask me that, and every player's slightly different. It's sort of Bailey was like the orchestrator. He just sat there in front of the back four and could pass a ball basically anywhere. Great range of passing and great ability on the ball. Always really composed. Never looked like he was under pressure. Alex was just like your number 10. He didn't really want to track back or do any of the sort of dirty job, but you got Alex the ball in the final third. He could cut open any team that he was playing against. I would say Kyle's got a little bit of everything. He's technically very good. He'll take players on. He's a really good dribbler. He's very creative. He can score goals. But the biggest thing for me that I've noticed, even probably just in the last year, is his work ethic's unbelievably good now. You know, the way that he tracks back, that he works for the team. And I think in modern football now, that's a necessity. If you're playing in those positions, you need to get yourself back. And obviously, Kyle's got a great attitude. He's always willing to learn. I'm sure he'll be taking everything in as it goes. And obviously, look, it was disappointing that the rules are in place that he couldn't make his debut in the cup competition there. But hopefully, by the end of February, when he does turn 16, we might see him on the bench for the first team in one of the league games potentially. But we'll obviously just need to wait and see how that occurs.
Yeah. And just before I move on to Ricky, I do know you're there, Ricky. I've not forgot, but you'll come to you in a sec. And just because I've seen it last week, James McPake signed for Hearts, then, so another former Rangers Academy starlet. He's career went in the doldrums for a couple of years. Well, then he seems to have started to progress again as a player.
Yeah, look, Josh always had unbelievable quality. I mean, talking about a kid that was probably the best player in the country, his age group, you know, signed a good contract with Rangers, but out on loan at 17 to Dundee. Some of the loans just didn't work out. That's just the reality of it for Josh. Obviously, he ended up kind of dropping down to League Two. I think it was still in Albion he was at, if memory serves me right, where he did pretty well. He then got the move up with St Johnstone. And look, see Josh, when you look at him, even at such a young age, he already had the physicality, he had the technique, he had the quality to take players on. He always had that quality to add goals to his game, and that's what he's done now at this next level. But what I really like about Josh is he's a really good kid. And, you know, sometimes in life, maybe you need that kick up the arse, don't you, to kind of get going. And possibly him having to drop down to play League Two, probably a level that he didn't think he would be playing at. You know, sometimes these things can happen and really push your career on. And for me, maybe that's what's really spurred them on. And I mean, it's interesting that Hearts done the pre-contract at the time they did, but if Josh can make that next step up, then he could be an exceptional signing for Hearts. And he is somebody that I can understand why the Jamestown analytics look at Josh and see his age, his ability, his technical levels. It's a bit of a no-brainer for Hearts, but I'm sure there was a lot of other clubs that would have been interested in Josh as well, just given he was out of contract in the summer.
Yeah. No, thanks, Willie. So I do see you, Ricky, right? So I'm going to come to you now. So, and firstly, how are you? But secondly, I suppose just because Willie put a nice wee segue and we're starting to talk about Hearts, and I'll get you give it your views on the game yesterday and some of the kind of key incidents.
What, the Celtic game?
Just let's quickly cover some of the bits. There's some interesting stuff coming the last 24 hours about it.
And the meltdown's been glorious, by the way. You can't beat when Celtic get a controversial decision. The whole world stops for them in Scottish football. It's been enjoyable today, mate. I can tell you that. What do you want to know?
Do you think it's a red card?
No, I don't actually. I'll be honest with you, but I think that makes it even better. But I can see, I think it's one that split a lot of people down the middle. I think more people, what I can see today, think it is a red card than people don't think it is a red card. For me, I see people saying it was similar to Jigga at the start of the season against Dundee. But it makes it better for me that it wasn't a red card because, as I said, I thought Martin O'Neill's interview after the game was hilarious, mate. Pure conspiracy mode with the blue cards and everything like that. So perfect weekend for Rangers, and let the meltdown continue, Gary. It's enjoyable.
Right. And I'll come to you, Scott, just on the meltdown. So your favourite person, or second favourite person after Finlay Curtis, is Derek McInnes. And Derek McInnes, with his comments after the game, talked about how he was so shocked to see a sending off from Celtic. I thought he was brilliant, and even was it Celtic scored, he's run into the Celtic backroom staff
for a square goal.
Listen, Derek may be the Hearts manager, but we all know what he really is. He's a blue nose like the rest is. Listen, he was spot on. Nobody expected that Celtic to get a poor sent off. We didn't. They've not been sent off for a long time. In European football, it's different, but in Scotland, they've done many things in the past few years. They've not a man sent off for. Yesterday for me was a red card. Trusting him, got the ball, he got the man, and people say he was running towards goal. It doesn't have to be a straight ball to goal. I mean, it was still going towards the goal area. I mean, it could be diagonal to the goal, it could be 45 degrees to goal, but it's still going towards there. pulls him down, it's a red card. Yeah, you can say, is it harsh? Some folks say it is. I just think it's a red card. I don't think there's a lot of debate, because see if that's up their end and the Hearts get sent off, there's no meltdown, there's no debate. Everybody just accepts it's a red card. But because it's there's a conspiracy. How can it be a conspiracy against a team that's on the man sent off for so long?
Yeah.
Last time I had a man sent off, I think Martin O'Neill was a manager for the first time. See the third team. That's how long ago it was. It's brutal when you hear ex-players talking about it, especially ex-Celtic players, Peter Grant, and then you had Backy Bonner yesterday. It's like, open your eyes for a change. Don't constantly see through the green tinted spec. I mean, they've won 14 in the last 15 leagues, but there's a conspiracy. It's nonsense, Gary. It's that you think it's funny, but it's actually made Scottish football look really, really embarrassing for me, because people are laughing at us thinking they're going about this, but they're winning everything in sight for the last 15 years. Yet everybody's against them. It's total nonsense. Listen, I hope they finish third. I'm the one who sit here and say we'll win the league. I think Hearts are still the favourites. But see if they finish third, I would just sit back and enjoy it. I would actually take 2 weeks off on holiday just to sit back and enjoy it. That's how good it would be. But it's nonsense, the crap they come at me. On Clyde tonight, I was listening to it in the work, and somebody was quoting laws of the game and then arguing with the panelists because he said these are the laws of the game. It's like they don't expect to get any decisions against them. Entitlement is no the word for it. I just can't be bothered with some of the crap they talk. I'm honest with you, it's total nonsense. I'll go back to you. Well, yeah, Ricky can pick up for you.
So, what I'm going to remember, but is that when the end of the season comes and if we finish third, you've been forced to take a fortnight off. We're going to make sure you follow up on that suggestion. Well, you're the voice of reason then. So, in terms of just the result itself, right, before we actually talk about Rangers, the result itself, there was a lot of talk before it whether a Hearts win was better, whether a Celtic win was better to bring you closer to Hearts, or a draw was the ideal result. What was when the crowd went wild when Hearts equalised at Ibrox yesterday? So I think that the majority were preferring that. What about you?
I mean, like, it was weird before the game. I think probably a draw was probably a fair result in terms of what we were looking for before the game. But then we had to win our game to make that a good result. I think at the end of the day, look, Hearts are in the position they're in because they deserve to be, and they've shown they're a really tough team to play against. The fact they played Rangers and Celtic now 5 times this season and they're still undefeated shows that it's not luck that they're in this position. Because you can have a decent run during the league season, but then you can have a huge drop off. Hearts haven't really had that. So yeah, you've got to give them a lot of credit. The fact that twice they were behind in that game yesterday and twice they fought their way back to get an equaliser. In terms of the red card, I think it's one that I'll always come down to the personal opinion of the official. The official on the pitch for it was a yellow, the guy in the VAR room for it was a red. See, when you watch it back, I don't see how the covering defender gets back to cover. But I also see the other side of it where his first touch takes him that far away that he's possibly not going to get a shot and goal. Yeah. It's an interesting one. I think it's one of those ones that could be debated forever. But anytime these type of incidents are involving Rangers or Celtic, they're always spoken about more and scrutinised more than ever. But I think from our perspective, I think a draw is probably the result we were looking for, because it sort of brings Hearts closer and it moves us away from Celtic a little bit.
Yeah. Gary, just to say, see if they've appealed us sending off, right? See if they overturn it. It makes a mockery of Scottish football and it also makes a mockery of VAR.
No, I don't think you can overturn it at the end of the day. I mean, it's a subjective decision that they thought was a red card. There's not a factual mistake there.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, Gary. That's the word right there, the subjective part of it. Because that could have been another VAR official that was there, and he might not have sent the referee to check it. No. So this is the problem that Kerr's got as well, and I think we all agree on it. It would appear as though no matter how many videos they're watching in these training rooms for the refereeing things, it'll always come down to an individual decision. And this is the problem you have. Like, it shouldn't be like, see, as soon as that incident happens, it should be straight away, right, that's a red card, and because he's stopped the goal scoring opportunity. But from game to game, we're seeing different decisions, and we don't really know what the outcome's going to be. And after all of this time with VAR and Willie Collum and these VAR reviews that do on YouTube, I'm still yet to see a level of consistency for a certain decision that happens on a football pitch. It feels like it's basically down to the VAR and who's sitting there on that given day that's given the decision to overrule the referee. And until that gets put in a better position, you're always going to have these instances, and things will happen in the remaining 15 league games that will cost Rangers points or Celtic points or Hearts points. That's just how it's going to be, because, as you said there, all of this is subjective depending on who's on the VAR.
I think there was this is nothing to do with Rangers, but obviously there was the game. Can't remember, was it at the weekend? There was a Man City game, and the guy doing his first refereeing game, I think, was sent over to the monitor for a alleged handball, and he had the courage, surprisingly, to still stick with his own on-field decision, which is, and I suppose that's part of the problem when you talk about these VAR, is that as soon as somebody goes over there, you think that they're going to back up what the VAR said. There isn't really. It becomes a bit of a drama, a bit of a circus, doesn't it? When they all go over to the pitch and go over the side of the pitch, the whole crowd starts going, and it becomes as a circus. It probably doesn't lend itself very well for an actual decision-making process. Ricky.
Oh,
So,
is that for me, mate? No.
No, it's not really a question. I'm going to pick on VAR, but for you, so you're watching the game as you do.
Yeah, no, I saw the Man City hanging, but there's loads of bad decisions every weekend, mate. Our VAR is tin pot. It's from Timu. I mean, the Aberdeen game, they couldn't even draw lines for an offside decision. I mean, Aberdeen got a goal chopped off. The referee had to make a decision. He had to go across to the screen and actually guess whether it was offside or not. When we are the laughing stock. I watch Cypriot football. I go to the matches, and they've got it. I don't know why it's so good in Europe. It's so good, and yet what you can it'll always be subjective. But when you play in the Europa League, it's a lot faster. It's a lot more streamlined, and it's a lot. At least it's almost black and white. England have still got it's an absolute shambles still in England, and that guy was brave in the Man City match, and Pep Pure went for him after the game, which was shocking. Absolutely attacked the guy. He said he wanted to be a celebrity because it was his first game and stuff like that. So the problem you have in Scotland, Gary, is as well is nobody can agree on anything. So I mean, I see people saying that the Rangers penalty was shocking. I saw people on podcasts today. It's like the guy 2-footed Raskin and put him 6 feet in the air, and you get people going on, "Oh, that was never a penalty," because Rangers, So it's very, very difficult for referees, and I don't think we help them in Scotland with the quality of VAR that we're given to them is absolutely tin pot, but we don't have the money here. I mean, and you saw even our match yesterday with Clancy. By the way, I mean the match was shocking in the first half, but he ruined the game as well. Like, he found every way he could to totally slow it down. The farce before the match, where VAR wasn't working for 20 minutes, they had no communication with wherever it is. And then you had every single opportunity Clancy gets, he just stands there with his finger in his ear for like 3 minutes. It's freezing cold, and the players don't. It's every stupid little decision took forever. So there's so many things they need to fix, Gary, because people hate VAR. And the worst thing about VAR for me is when you score a goal and you have to, especially as a Rangers fan, any goal we score, it's like you're waiting. I mean, they checked Hart's first goal. The guy was about 5 yards onside, and they spent 2 minutes checking it. Like it was across from a corner. So it's a shambles in Scotland, mate, and that's not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah. So let's go into the game then, Ricky. So the team lineup then, there was 4 changes from the game against Ludogorets, which I've long since forgotten already. It was only Thursday. So Tavernier came back in, Scott Olsen and Chuck Whanney played, and Majowski for Shamiti. So the 4 changes. Other than that happy enough for the team. It probably was a team we talked about in the pod on Friday night, if I remember rightly. It was very little different from what we suggested.
On paper, it was super exciting, mate. I mean, on paper, when you saw Kerr sent it nice and early, he must have contacts. I don't know how he got the team so early, but he put it in the group chat, and we were all absolutely excited because it looked on
Ricky,
on
I
paper.
picked
It looked on paper everything we wanted, mate. But Jesus Christ, I watched a guy climbing a building with no ropes, with just chalk in his pocket, and that gave us anxiety. And then I watched Rangers, and that was worse for bloody 90 minutes. It was until we got that second goal, mate. Jesus, I think I put it in the group chat today. For me, this is pretty much the way it's going to be for Rangers. It was the same against Motherwell. It was the same against St Mirren, it was pretty turgid against Dundee as well. I think until Danny Rowe has his own players in a pre-season, these games are pretty much going to look like that at Ibrox. I actually think we'll probably still play a bit better when we're away from home for some reason. Our away record has been phenomenal the last year. So that gives us confidence for the big games that are coming up and stuff like that, Gary. But on paper, the lineup was superb. But in reality, it just never clicked at all, especially in that first half.
Yeah. Scott, so I'm going to ask you two questions because we were obviously at the game yesterday, so you kind of see things different at times. Actually, I said to my daughter that I actually thought Dundee were really good. You know, I'll give Dundee credit. We often criticise Rangers when we're not scoring goals and stuff. Dundee actually went man for man, cut off every bit of space going. I was quite impressed with them defensively. How their structure, their shape off the ball. Stephen Presley gets a lot of grief for the long hair and the daft outfits and all the stuff that goes with it. But I actually thought they set up really well. And the struggle for us in actually doing anything was because of the way Dundee were playing, to be fair to them.
Partly, Gary, but I thought we were very slow. I thought the build-up play was slow. I thought the tempo was slow. I thought we were expecting something to happen, to try to make it happen. But their structure was good. They were very well. They were very disciplined. They didn't really get moved out of position. Knew what they were doing. They sat deep and then they tried to hit in transition, didn't they? Which they didn't really cause any problems, to be fair. But they came and done what kind of done the last time. They're looking for maybe a set piece or something like that. But scoring goes against us at set pieces slightly changed because we are more physically a better side, and also we've got a bit more height in the team. So I think that's maybe not going to work for them. But no, they set their stall out for the start, and they just didn't give us any space. And I thought they done really well. But Gary, I thought we were very slow moving the ball. I was a lot with side to side. Nobody wanted to take a risk. Maybe apart from Asgard at times, when really nobody else wanted to take a risk. But you've seen it change when Deal come on because he had the legs to move him about more.
Aye, I think, what they did, which surprised me actually, and you don't necessarily see this, so they went man for man. I don't know if you can see it on the TV as well, they were going man for man all the time, so actually there wasn't a lot of space for MD to get into away from MD. And you needed all the times, as you say, when Asgard maybe done that a turn and kind of got a wee bit of space to get away from that.
He's good on the half turn, Asgard. It's just his final ball in that was, but Miofsky was struggling because he's not that type of player. He can't play a lone striker. He can't really hold the ball up. He doesn't bring others into play. He struggles with that. He just makes like a ball over the top and I'll give him a chance. You miss Sharmiti, and obviously he was ill, so that's how he couldn't play. If he was playing, I think it would have been different.
We'll come on to Miofsky in a wee bit. I suppose, Scott, I'll start with you. Just the last question again from the game yesterday. On Friday, we talked about the campaign for the fans to bring the noise, to be the 12th man and all the other stuff you hear, every cliche under the sun. And well, it wasn't full yet. There was certainly, to me, there was a bit of it was a tense atmosphere. It was still a tense atmosphere because obviously there's a lot going on in other games and stuff you're doing it. But you started to hear a bit more, and we've been saying some of the things about on Friday, but the atmosphere can have a big impact over the rest of the season. Did you feel it was going in the right direction?
I did, Gary, because at half time I was expecting maybe more people to be upset, but there was only there was a few disgruntled voices, but not as many as there has been. But people are nervous again because we didn't expect to be in this position. We are, and because we've had such a good run and we're in this position, until you get that goal, you're sitting biting your nails because you don't know what's going to happen, because there's so many times in the past where we've an opportunity to go ahead or go up in the league or whatever, go ahead of somebody, and we don't. We falter, we either draw, we get beat. So a lot of fans look back and think, God, we've been in this position before in the years, we're not really capitalised. But yesterday we did, but we didn't really look under pressure at conceding. That was a good thing yesterday. I didn't think we did, and I thought the back four played really well. It was just getting the goal, and once we got the goal, I think that settled us.
I never actually thought till you said that there. I mean, at the gate at half time, there wasn't any booing. Actually, surprisingly, when I think about it, I kind of half expect that when it's 0-0 at a Rangers game at half time, but no, there wasn't actually in. So while with two new signings, Chuck Whanney and Skov Olsen, I suppose there was nothing much happening in the first half. So I'm just going to get your views more on their performances and what you've seen from them, the positives, the things to work on.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that Skov Olsen's going to need some games, isn't it? Certainly seems to be a little bit behind where he would probably like to be. You know, obviously I've been watched quite a bit of this guy over the years because we've basically been linked with him since I was born, it feels like. But look, there's no doubt the guy's got quality, but how long is it going to take him to get to that level? You know, that's probably the issue. I actually was quite impressed with Tochi. I didn't actually realise how big he was. You know, can I get a bit of a close-up of him kind of early on in the game? And he's a big, strong unit. That run he made where he should have scored in the first half was excellent. I would like to see more of that type of run. And I thought he did a lot of the simple things well, the 5-10 yard passes. He's constantly looking for the ball for the defenders. So, yeah, I think there's a much higher chance that we'll see Tochi against Hibs. I think you might find that Scov Olsen might drop onto the bench for that Hibs game. Because I think the manager might want a little bit more structure about the team for the away game. In terms of the first half, I always think that when you've played in the Thursday night, Gary, especially when our team's had the whole week to train for that game, like you know they're going to come and press you. You know they're going to come and they're going to try and stop you playing, and you've got to expect that. You know, Dundee had the whole week to train. They'd looked at how we played. They knew we had played in the Thursday night. We don't really have that bigger squad. When you look at what the manager selects most weeks, there's not really that many changes to a lot of the sort of main teams that play game in, game out. So there was only ever going to be a couple of changes, really. Obviously, Chermitis is forced by, obviously being ill. But I felt the first half was okay. We should have took more chances. Obviously, Fernandez overhead kick, Tochi through in the goalie. But I agree with Kerr. I thought the change at half-time with Diamandi was the big one. I thought his energy levels, obviously just after half-time, his energy levels, the way that he gets on the ball, his first thought's always to drive with the ball forward. Yeah. I really like that about Diamandi. He very rarely looks to pass the ball back. He always seems to take the ball on the turn. He wants to go forward with it. And I know that frustrates some people because you'll lose it. But I would rather a midfield player did that than always look to play the ball back. And then obviously the penalties, I can't really understand how anybody doesn't think it's a penalty. It's a ludicrous tackle. I guess I actually don't know why the guy makes the tackle, because he probably doesn't actually need to. But it's just a really, really poor decision. And then after that, we had another couple of chances where we just, we get in the box and we make that extra pass, or we take that extra touch. And I don't know if that's a nervousness thing with the players, because normally when a player is in the 18-yard box, their first thing is to shoot. But in the end, I actually thought we were pretty comfortable. Jack Butland didn't really have a lot to do. I thought we defended pretty well. And obviously the 2 late goals probably make the result seem pretty comfortable. And in all honesty, if it finished 1-0, I still felt like we controlled a large part of the game, and Dundee never really threatened us that many times.
No. So Ricky, I suppose on that, just before I pick up something, so your favourite player, Manny Fernandez, was excellent again. And I think now, I can't remember, was it 7 clean sheets in 10 or something like that we've had? And as William says, we never really looked in danger of losing. I think I remember one direct shot from about 25 yards that tunneled into Butland's arms, a free kick. It was about 5 yards past. And that was probably all I remember in the game. So we defended well. Fernandez was probably really good at centre half. Giga didn't do anything wrong, apart from the fact he can't head on, can't pass the ball really, but he didn't have a bad game. And Magoma certainly probably one of his better games and looked a bit more confident driving forward.
Yeah, five clean sheets in a row, mate, is very, very impressive. You can say Rolls got that part of the team. Can you look at the start of the season? I think that's where us and Motherwell have conceded 17 goals, the best defensive record in the league, which is absolutely phenomenal. Fernandez was superb again, Gary. I'm absolutely loving the kid. I think he's been fined of the season, to be honest with you. It just shows you never listen what the nonsense you read on social media from the Peterborough fans. But another big performance from him. I think we missed Suter, and I think Jigga. I think that's part of the problem. I think what you don't really is underappreciated with Suter is sometimes his passing can be a bit erratic, but when it's good, he breaks the lines very fast. Yeah. He's very good at pinging the long balls and stretching teams. Like Willie says, they were man to man against us. So I think you miss, when Suter's not in the team, you miss that direct passing that he brings to the team, because Jigga plays like he's running in quicksand, man. Jesus, every time he's got the ball at his feet, you can hear it in the stadium. how nervous. I mean, you're right, he never did. He got caught out a few times. He never did much defensively. That was the most comfortable we've looked at the back, because every match, I mean, we've been keeping clean sheets, but Butland's been making at least 1, 2, maybe 3 big saves. But yesterday he could have got the deck chair out. But I do agree with you. I thought Dundee set up well and made it difficult for us, Gary. But I thought eventually we got the goal, and then we needed that goal at the end because the stadium came alive like we said it would when Hearts equalised, and it was great for Danilo to get that sign-off goal. I believe he's coming to join me in Cyprus, big Danilo. Pavos has made a bid for him for 2 million. I hope we accept that. I think 2 million's a fair price for Danilo, to be honest with you. If we can get him off the books with that wages, that would be fantastic. So I'll look forward to watching the big man and maybe get a pint with his dad when he's at the front of the stadium.
Imagine Ricky and the old dad on the side of the pitch dancing about. That'd be worth admission money alone, wouldn't it? That'd be outstanding. So you can take it for there.
I need to get a few pints with him, and that'll be hilarious. I'll be seeing him dancing in Cyprus.
So as we say, we went 1-0 up. So and I'm going to milk this for a little bit just because I can. So Tav scored his 100th league goal, which I believe is the highest scoring SPL player. Probably I read some stat today on X.
4 to go.
40 is it 40 go, is it? And he's also the highest scoring British defender. He's made more European appearances than any other English player in the Europa League, and a multitude of other stats. So he stepped up, scored his 100th league goal for Rangers, which is a phenomenal achievement for anybody. Never mind a right back. Really good penalty. You can generally trust him in the big moments when it comes to one of these penalties, Ricky. You know, there's that kind of, you have that confidence that he'll put it in the back of the net, and that always takes a bit of courage.
The other thing about the guy, Gary, is he's just always fit. You know, like it's.
Is he not going to be the top 10 or something like Rangers players in the top 10 appearance holders coming in the season?
It's just ridiculous. Like he's always, he's been good as well. Like I think it's good taking him in and out the team. He was very good away at Pataudry. I thought he was excellent in that match, and he was good yesterday as well. He was driving the team forward and doing his bit. So if he keeps that form up, and you're no flogging him to death with 60, 70, he can't play 70 games a season anymore. But no, phenomenal achievement to reach 100 goals, and it doesn't matter how many are penalties. And also the fact that he's always available, because you look at Sterling, you look at Suter, the breakdown every 3 weeks. So to have players like that you know that you can rely on, I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal. He's going to go down as a great player for Rangers, and to get 100 goals, congratulations to him. And I hope he gets 4. He needs to beat Boyd's record, so I hope he gets that 4 goals. Which if he doesn't stay at the end of the season, I think it's always going to come down to wages thing. I wouldn't be keeping him at 33 grand a week, but if you can strike a deal and get that down a little bit just to bring him into line with some of the other players, then it might be worth looking at. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of the season, Gary.
I'm going to I'll get you to think of something. So you've got the best time to think, Ricky. So as I talk to Scott first, we're going to come back of those 100 goals, your favourite league goal scores. So each of you three have a think about this. Well, I'm asking Scott a question. So obviously we get that goal, 100 league goals, as Ricky says, phenomenal achievement. I've probably noticed the crowd was obviously singing his name. You kind of notice as we get towards the end of his career, where Rangers fans are maybe starting to think, you know, we are going to miss a little bit. You know, I've noticed in social media channels, all that hate is kind of turning now, and there's a little bit of, look at what he's done over the years.
I think that's because Gary were winning. I think when we're getting beat, Tav was the one that was the scapegoat a lot of the time, and we've all criticised him, maybe apart from yourself, but we've all criticised him at different times, just because he has made mistakes. Listen, he has, but he's not the only one that's made mistakes, but he probably has been overused. We probably relied on him far too much at times, and that was not his fault. That's our fault, and we've no really, recruitment-wise, never really given anybody to help him out either. He has, we all know, Sterling's more injured than he is fit, but I'm happy that Danny Rio's been leaving him out at times, because I think that helps him. I think when he comes back and he's ready to go again, I think you can see that. I think he's using his experience better because of that, and I think Rio also sees he can't play 2 games a week constantly, especially at his age. So I think we're going to get the best out of him when he's in and out of the side. For next season, I still want to keep him. I think I'll let him go out at the end of the season high, hopefully, and say thanks a lot for all your service. It's been tremendous. You'll be remembered. He's in the Rangers Hall of Fame, isn't he? So he's just been unfortunate. I mean, if he'd won more, he been the talking stakes, and it's not his fault. He's no one more. It's just obviously when his time at the club and stuff like that. Because people, which I can see your point, but I can also don't see the point. People always say, well, you get judged on your trophies, but it just depends when your time's at the club. You could be in here through Walter Smith and you're winning a lot of trophies, but you're not a great player. You could be here through when being demoted and stuff, and you're a great player, but we've not won a lot, and it's really unfortunate when he's been here. But listen, for what he cost us and for the appearances he's made and the goals he's scored and the assists, and he's obviously one of the best right backs we've had. It's just it's just unfortunate he's not won a lot of stuff, and it's just because of the time he's been at the club.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you to say the favourite to have goal of that 100. So, and Alan's beat me to it. That's my favourite goal. I was thinking about it earlier on. The one I remember is the free kick at Dundee from 35-40 yards at the top corner. It was an outstanding strike. As was one actually against Celtic, won it against Joe Hart. There was a couple against Joe Hart that were outstanding. Wally, so you'll come to you first. Favourite goal of those 100. So no European goals, no Leipzig goal, nothing. No Aberdeen Cup final goal. League One.
I think his free kick against Hibs, I think it was, in the Championship. The one that was just on the edge of the 18-yard box and it whipped over the goalie.
Is that the first game? Was that the first game?
No, I think that was the League Cup game. I guess it was a league game at Ibrox. I think maybe I won 1-0 that night. It was on the Govan front side on the edge of the 18-yard box and he whipped it right up and over the goalie. That was a terrific goal to have. Yeah, again, that Championship season when Tav first signed was ridiculous. I remember his goal against Alloa because I was in the stand behind the goals. That was the day that Scottish football lost the plot. Mind, we had the big guy in loan for Spurs and he did a couple of tricks at the end of the game. People were going ballistic after the game, and it's just some of the football we actually played that season under Warburton was brilliant. I know it was Championship level, I get that, but some of the actual football was terrific, and Tav was a huge part of that. But yeah, I think that one against Hibs at Ibrox in the Championship was brilliant. Other than that, yeah, I mean, you could pick 15, 20 of Tav's goals, couldn't you? I mean, he doesn't seem to score many tap-ins. He seems to score some utterly ridiculous goals that a full-back should never really score.
So before we come to the end of the game, I'll just get Ricky and Scott to me there quick. Goal of the 100.
Anyone against Celtic for me, mate. I mean, always old for him ones. I remember a few at Ibrox and that good free kicks. He scored a few at Parkhead that always seemed to be on the losing team when he scored. But I mean, he was a one-man team. There was periods where he was a one-man team against them at Parkhead, taking them basically on his own sometimes with some of the goals he scored. But no, it's few at Ibrox for me. I remember one when he scored the first goal. I think we won that day when Arfield scored. So any goal against Celtic for me.
So was the one for Scott Bain, went for the side of for the corner flag, kind of way curled it in. And Scott, you've been at many of the games.
I'm kind of the same. There's not really one that stands out. Obviously, European ones do. Remember the game at Celtic we lost, but I think you scored 2 that day. And one was a free kick, and
I almost got a hat trick.
He was either scoring the free kicks or he was running to the back post with a header or whatever. And he just he kept us in so many games himself, and that's what I mean. We overused his reliance because he was obviously fitness-wise was unreal, and it's just he's been very, very unfortunate at the time he's been with Rangers. He's not won more because he deserves to win more. If he was at another club, he'd have probably maybe not scored as much, but he might have won more stuff. If you know what I mean, it's just. But you can't take away for what he cost us and for what he's gave us. You have to look at that. What they cost about 240,000 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
It's a phenomenal what it cost us compared to what he's given us. Do you know what I mean? So you have to give him credit, and he must have been at times. He must have been at times. Gary must have been pulling his hair out. You know what I mean? Because he's seen the club high, low, and he could have maybe went elsewhere, but he's stuck by you. So yeah, we've all criticised him, but he has been a tremendous servant.
So anyway, that's enough for the 100 goals. So they'll maybe going to get 150. We'll see where they're. In terms of the end of the game, Danilo, we'll pick up Danilo, Scott, just stick with you. So Danilo gets the ball from a horrendous pass for done, the one really major mistake he made. And Danilo does what he actually can do. Is that kind of soft, cold finish that he's actually probably good at. So it's the ones that actually have scored more often than not over his time with Rangers. But it does look also like he's on his way, as Ricky says, potentially to Paphos or Nijmegen, I don't know how you say that. The NEC in Holland. How do you say it? Nijmegen.
I'll take your word for it. No, listen, I think he's just been another one. He's been unfortunate with injuries, but he's never really fulfilled what he cost. I know we look back at the transfer fee and it was a lot of money for us, but I don't think he's really shown us consistently what he should have given us. Do you know what I mean? Just through injuries and stuff like that, maybe lack of form. But his scoring ability at times was phenomenal. And it was a lot of chances he took. He was a cultured finisher, wasn't he? But when he had time to, the easier ones he wouldn't put away, but the hardest ones he would. And listen, when he does go, I wish him all the best because he did score goals for us. And like I say, I hope wherever he goes, he really enjoys it. And I would take money for him, Gary, because he's obviously on a good wage. He's down the pecking order. The club, he's not even, I think he's third choice if that. And so I think it might be time he moved on to play more regular football. And I think we need to get somebody fresh in.
And if we do, well, if he goes for £2 million, as has been rumoured, we're now been linked today with guy, what's his name again, Ryan Nadiri,
Nadiri, I think it is.
Ryan Nadiri, who's out from the German.
Nadiri's Wolves.
Nadiri's Wolves. Have you got the song already? Have you? Hansa Rostock, the German. I don't know they were in the third division actually. I don't remember that name for years ago as a team. Scored a reasonable amount of goals. There's a lot of talk about the analytics and how that's why he's potentially a really high ceiling on the boy. Have you seen much about him? Heard much about him? Other than what you've looked at today?
Yeah, look, you obviously kind of go and have a look at, the guy's background, and I think the one thing we've learned over the years with players is you don't judge them from where they come from. We've signed guys from top European clubs over the years, and they've not did very much, and yet we brought other guys in like Fashion Sakala and Alfredo Morelos. There's probably another 10, 15 guys that we could go through here and talk about who have done a far better job than guys that's cost us a lot of money. I mean, the interesting thing when you look at like this guy, he sort of fits into what we're looking to sign at the moment, which is clearly bigger players, stronger players, more physical. They can hold the ball up better, which I think is a big part of what Chermiti's been doing well. And this guy looks like he's in that similar mould, but this guy appears to be a better goal scorer. If you look at some of his goals, it's like the sort of striker instinct of where he is in that 18-yard box. And I think at 22 years old, £2.5 million for a striker really isn't a lot of money these days when you look at what the marketplace is. But I saw there's been other clubs linked with him, like Rio Ave in Portugal, and I think it was Paderborn and Kaiserslautern in the Bundesliga too. And also Red Bull Salzburg, I think, were the other team that I saw earlier on. So it's maybe not a foregone conclusion that he's coming to Rangers, but I think it's interesting that we've been linked with that type of player, another big, strong, 6 foot plus guy who's going to hold the ball up, that could get the midfield players into the game. Because I don't think there's any doubt that, like we've seen recently with Chermiti, when he holds the ball up, it allows the players to get up the pitch and it allows us to be a little bit more of a threat. And this guy looks quite similar to that, but possibly just a better goal scorer.
Do you think then, Willie and Danny Rowe's team, that's the kind of style he's looked for? Miovski gets a lot of criticism because the fact he can't hold the ball up and his touch isn't great and he's a penalty box striker. Thinking in the style of play he wants to play with these three attackers behind him, it is a kind of big, strong target man that can bring others in to play around about him.
Yeah, because I think it's important when that ball goes up there that it sticks, and that allows then like Gassama or Moore or Asgard or Diamandi or Skov Olsen, depending on who it's going to be in these upcoming games, it allows them to get into the game. Whereas unfortunately Miovski, that isn't really his strongest trait. He wants the ball in the 18-yard box. So it didn't feel like it was sticking up enough in the first half. No. In the second half, it got a little bit better. But that's where Chermiti's been really good recently, and I think this guy would be of a similar ilk in terms of what he would bring to the team. But, I mean, it would certainly be a bit of a curveball that you're signing somebody to the German third division. But as I said earlier, you never prejudge players before they come in, because I think even, was it like sort of Jonathan Johansson came in for Estonia under Advocat? And like given the money that we had spent under Advocat at the time, like JJ did a great job. For Rangers, Rod Wallace came in a free for Leeds United. You even look at some of the guys even that Gerrard brought in, for not much money. And Walter Smith was good at doing that as well. We picked up guys who come in and did a job. So, yeah, if he does end up here, it'll be interesting. Maybe Danny Rule knows a little bit more about this guy than the rest of us. Maybe he has contacts over there, and he's well aware of who this guy is and what he's going to come and what he's going to provide to the team. So, yeah, an interesting link, but a bit like the guy. Sorry to see Danilo go. I think he's been unlucky, having his cheek caved in up at Perth, and he's had a couple of really bad injuries that haven't been his fault in any of them. And it's probably really held him back in his Rangers career. But it's probably the right time to go, because it does look as though he is the third choice striker out of the three that's still there at the moment.
He only cost $6 million, and sadly that was it. That was a song, and it never really worked out that way. Do you know, it's just not been really injuries and style of play and all that stuff, and change of manager and everything else. It's not really worked out for him. As I say, I don't think anybody dislikes him. He's got personality and bubbly nature that fans always have a soft spot for him, but he's no longer going to feature enough to actually make him worthwhile staying. Ricky, there's not been a lot of other links at this moment in time. We're a week to go. A week today, is it, the transfer deadline? We're obviously looking at getting Rothwell, Matondo. I feel say this every transfer window. Matondo. I'm trying to get Matondo at the door. It's 5 years later. Rothwell, Matondo, NCL. They're probably the three that jumped. Maybe Bayrami. Although Bayrami, again, when he came on, he always looks good when he comes on.
And no, for me, I'd keep Bayrami, because I think with Asgard, I still think Asgard is feeling his way. We see improvement with Asgard, but I don't think he's no wowing you when he's playing. He's playing decent and he's getting better and stuff, and he is contributing with goals and assists, and he does need to be in the team or around the team. But I like Bayrami because he also can play multiple positions. He's very good on the left, and he can play in that number 10 position as well. So I don't see, unless we get an offer that's like someone's going to take him on a permanent, I think he'd be better keeping Bayrami. But if we can get rid of Matondo, that would be superb. And Rothwell, they two are just an absolute. I mean, you're speaking about 50 grand between both of them, so you need to get them off the wage bill, even for Matondo's contracts up at the end of the season. I see that Dan Neil went to Ipswich. I don't know if that's been announced, but I know, he was down there doing his medical this afternoon. That was that Keith Downey that's pretty clued up with all the teams in the Northeast announced that. So that'll be an interesting one. And I think the striker, Gary, I think what Rowe's plan was going into the transfer window, and he keeps saying it himself, is he wants weapons that he doesn't have in the squad. So I know that we're putting that this striker's 6'4", so he's the same as Shermiti, but I think he probably thinks this guy can probably score more goals, because I think Shermiti is worth sticking with. And it might click if you're working properly with him on the training ground. It might click that he does start scoring goals. Right now, you can't see him being a 20-25 goal a season striker. But what you have to remember is he's still just a kid, and that can click. He can get better as long as you see improvement. And then you've got another guy in your squad who's taken that burden off him and who is scoring the goals. That's what I think has went against Shermiti from the start of the season. Was we expected Miovski to come in and be this striker, the same at Aberdeen, that was going to score 25 plus goals just easily, and that was going to be a guaranteed. And it's not worked out like that. I think Miovski's probably the next one that, unless we change our style, you're sort of looking at him in the way that he plays, and he's no fitting into the way that Rowe wants to play. Like unless you're playing him with another striker, or you're getting the ball in the box early and creating chances for him, he's pretty much a waste of time. And I thought you really saw on Saturday that we missed John Souttar and we missed Shermiti from that lineup. And I hope both are back for Easter Road, because that's going to be a huge game on Sunday. Their form's fallen off a cliff, Hibs, and they've got a few injuries, but still we need to be at full strength going into that game. And I think Shermiti and Souttar is a huge part of the way that we're playing under Rowe. And I hope both are fit for going to Edinburgh on Sunday, mate. I'm sure there will be. I know for a fact that Shermiti was just illness, so he will be, but hopefully Souttar is back as well.
Gary, I just want to say, what's your opinion on Curtis? I know you're not a big fan, right? You think he has to maybe do more, but I feel Danny Rule has puts him ahead of Ant-Man at this moment in time, because that's a few times come off the bench in front of Ant-Man. So if that's the case, does he stay at Rangers and doesn't get on? Because I feel Finley's got more to offer us at the moment than Ant-Man and Danilo and stuff, people like that. I don't think there's many he comes off the bench and has an impact like Curtis at this moment in time?
I think for me, Curtis, so I get it back. That's what I'm saying. I don't rate him. I do rate him. I suppose what I think about is it's better for me to go and play 20 games with Kilmarnock than it would be to sit on the bench and play 20 minutes every two games.
My God, they want Neil McCann sacked already.
I know, well, that's might be a Wilfred Nancy job with that one. But no, I think I'd like to see him get games to see if he's got potential. I think at the moment something he's too slight, and maybe that first team football might help him. Ant-Man's an interesting one actually, as an aside, because even when he's been fit, and it's not been a lot over time, he's not even getting remotely near the start, going off the bench. It doesn't suggest that Danny Rowe is a high level of trust in him at the moment in time anyway. So you do wonder what his future holds. He could be one that, if an offer came in, he could be on his way back out again. It's just not worked for him. Bar one game, it's his first performance game, he's been pretty poor. So Curtis, I'd like to see go for his own development side, to see him getting 6 months or 4 months of football. But if Ant-Man went, you'd want to keep him in the squad to at least give you enough depth there, because I don't think they're bringing another winger.
As an insider, Willie, what's your scooping Finlay? Is he staying, going?
I don't think Rangers would allow him to leave until at least after the Porto game, because just the sheer lack of numbers in the European squad. So I'd imagine if Finlay is going to move, it'll be after the game on Thursday. But yeah, I do think he will go, and I think it is purely to get that kind of regular minutes. Because at the moment he's getting small sample sizes, isn't he? And that's not really what he needs at his age. He needs to be playing and getting more development time. But I mean, the only worry with that be is if we then lose somebody to injury, we're then pretty short in those positions. So it's one of those. Then again, you get Kyle Glasgow that maybe come in and actually play some minutes as a 16-year-old if the manager likes him enough. So maybe the manager knows something we don't, and we're going to do more business than what's kind of been out there so far. But I would imagine if Finlay goes, they might want to bring somebody else in just until the end of the season, potentially maybe another loan.
Yeah. Which probably moves us nicely on at the Porto game, actually. So we play Porto on Thursday night. There's a strange thing, Wally, that some people suggest it's a nothing game because we can't qualify. Other people say it's quite important because of the coefficient points, and if we do win the league, how bad would it be to be picked for the Champions League automatic qualification by not winning this game? I think Danny Rowe says we'll go with 15 players, 16 players that are fit anyway, so you don't have a lot of options available. So looking to the Porto game, how interested are you in that?
Well, I think just the fact we've got so limited amount of players to play in the game, it will be a pretty strong 11 that will start the game. Well, we make changes throughout the game, obviously, maybe to kind of save some legs ahead of Hibs. I wouldn't be surprised if we did that. Obviously, none of the free signings are available to play in that one. There's some guys that obviously weren't registered in the European squad, so it is a very minimal squad. Sterling being back might be something that they might do. Maybe give Fernandes a night off, or maybe just make sure that Suter's okay for the Hibs game, so maybe bring Sterling in. Maybe Aarons comes in for Tav. I think it'll be minimal changes though, just because of the size of the squad. But yeah, I think we'll see some of the younger boys on the bench, like Lewis Stewart's, Callum Adamson's. They'll definitely be there. Josh Gentles. You might even see another one or two. They might even just leave one or two guys at home potentially. For all we want to win the game, and clearly we do. Porto are an exceptional football team under their new manager, and it's going to be an extremely difficult game.
I suppose that's it, Ricky. Porto, I think, are ninth. They were ninth. I can't remember where they are in the Europa League, but it's not as if it's a dead rubber for them. They'll want the win as well. As Willie says, they're a good team, and they're probably, if not comparable, but certainly not far off Roma's level. And we've seen how bad we've been against other teams, so it suggests that we could be in for a tough night. So looking at that, how do you, I suppose, go for that match? What would you be looking at? As Willie says, some changes. Would you make some rest in some players, etc.?
I think Willie's hit the nail on the head. There's only 15 players available, so you can't really sit here and go, let's do this, let's do that, because there's no players. He doesn't have any players to choose from, so I think it will be pretty strong. And he'll look to bring in. I don't know. I think also maybe will play away to Hibs, so we'll see what happens at the weekend. I hope he keeps the midfield the same. I would maybe keep Chucky out the team because I like that midfield with Diamande. I thought Raskin looked a little bit lost in the first half without his pal. And then when his pal came on in the second half, it brought him onto a game as well. So I think it'll be pretty much the same team that played at Ibrox last week. I wouldn't be risking Suter, I wouldn't be risking Sterling, and I wouldn't be risking Tavernier. Give Tavernier the night off and play Aarons again. So make what changes you can. But there's 15 players available, mate. So how many changes can you actually make? I think Farioli is their manager.
Yeah.
I think he's doing
So
brilliant.
that guy was Ajax. He was linked to us a few
Yes,
times.
the one that we went there. Who did we go? Pedro or who? We even worse. we had gold, and we had rust, and we chose rust like 2 or 3 times.
It was linked with Clement time as well. When Clement was linked, it was around then as well.
Clement, he was there as well. I think he just left Ajax at that point. So that was I think they're on about him for the Spurs job and stuff like that. So it shows how highly rated he is. His career has just went like that. He's one of these young managers that's on a clear trajectory. So it'll be a tough night.
Ajax? Did he have to left him? Didn't he?
No,
He went wrong from Ajax.
I think they left. I think he almost won. Remember, they capitulated. There's a big word for you. Capitulated at the end of the season. At the end of the season, they were like 9 points clear or something, and they lost 4 or 5 games, and then lost the league, something stupid like that at the end of the season. And then I think it was because he wasn't backed, and I think there was arguments with the board, so that's why he left. But I don't expect us to get anything out in Porto, Gary. I mean, we've spoke about our European campaign before. It's been an absolute disaster, this campaign, which is sad because the Thursday nights are Rangers nights. But I think we need to see. I mean, I don't expect us to get tanked, but I think it will be a tough night. It'll be interesting. I think Roll will probably use it to see as a gauge and a marker to see where these players are. But it's very difficult when you're going to a team like Porto and they need to win to get in the top 8. And you've got nothing to play for, and you're expecting these players to turn up away in Portugal. It's hard enough at the best of times. So I'm not that bothered about the game on Thursday, and everything's about Sunday, mate. And last thing is, how good was it to get the butterflies back on Saturday at Ibrox and have that butterfly feeling again, mate? That's what it is supporting Rangers. Every game in the league means something towards the end of the season. Last 2 seasons, Gary, we've been at this point of the season and just being like, oh my God, 9 points behind. So it's great to have Rangers back in their feelings again. And what a job Danny Rowe was doing, mate.
Yeah, as you know, we've got, what is it, Hibs, Kilmarnock, Motherwell, Hearts, next 4 games. I can't remember the order they're in exactly, but 4 big games, then another 4 big games, another 4 big, and the big games all the way through in the season. But every game, I think Scott said earlier on in the chat, every game is as important as each other. Just win the next game and then see where it takes you. But Scott, in terms of the game on Thursday night, I know there's obviously an argument. It doesn't matter because it's a European game, but Danny Rowe's talked a lot about momentum. He's talked a lot about 8 wins in a row, keeping the clean sheets, all the stuff that goes with it. To go out there and get a humping or a bumping or whatever you want to call it would not be a good look, and would maybe damage some of the confidence we've built up.
No, it wouldn't, guy, and it actually might. You just never know. Do you know what I mean? So, listen, we've actually got quite a good record against Porto. Years going back, we've always performed quite well over there, and obviously they're heavy favourites for Thursday, and because they're 9th, we are sitting near the bottom. But see if we went there and even I'd be happy with a draw, even just playing well. And I don't want to do it, but it's difficult because a lot of players can't play, because even Barami can't play because he's not in the squad either. Do you know that way? So it's like you're down at the bare bones. So you'll play strongest team, I feel. I think Danny Rowe will. Maybe leave 1 or 2, like Willie mentioned and Ricky mentioned, but I don't think he'll make wholesale changes, because I think he's the type of manager who takes everything serious, even if we're saying it's a dead rubber, but he's saying, no, you mentioned earlier, momentum and stuff like that. So I think he'll want to go and give it the best shot and a bit of professional pride as well. So it'll be interesting to see who starts. I mean, personally, I would put in Liam Kelly and give Butland the rest, but that's just me. But I don't want to go there and get a doing either, because Porto will be playing to get into the top 8, aren't they? And I don't want it to turn into like the Bruges game at the start of the season. That could really be detrimental. So you want me to just go there and put in a good performance and see what you can come away with. Do you know what I mean? And then after that game, turn your attention towards Hibs. You just can't. I wouldn't look to Hibs now because we've got a game in front of us. Just like I said earlier, Gary, a game at a time just now. I'm not looking too far ahead, because doing that has brought us where we've been. I don't know if you've seen the thing on social media where when Rule came in and we were in the league to this new. It's amazing how much he's turned it. with these players he's got. I mean, he's got so much out of these guys, and maybe like you said earlier, maybe the players aren't as bad as we thought, but maybe these guys just didn't listen to Russell Martin. They all turned off, and they're actually listening to Danny Rowell, and they believe in him. We didn't believe in Russell Martin. Is that, I know you don't, football players say they don't, but a lot of them do. If you don't believe in the manager, a bit like the Celtic ones under Nancy, you can see they were turned off, especially our captain, who's now constantly doing interviews every week, but under Nancy, he disappeared from behind the camera, he didn't want to be seen. So I think you do, and I think they believe in the manager believes in them, and he's got the fans back inside. So Thursday will be interesting. I just hope we can put in a good performance and see where we go.
Aye. And the good thing is it's about momentum, it's about enjoying it. I suppose the result is important, obviously, but it's about just going out there and actually playing that with the handbrake off, as they say. Do you know, and that's been one of the things we've been lurching for one thing to another. And it's only really now we've got to a point whereby the fans can take a bad performance maybe more than they could a couple of months ago. Do you know, and we've got 14, 15 games, whatever it is, we're going to have bad results. We're not going to win the next 15 games. It's highly unlikely we're going to win every league game. Do you know, there'll be twists and turns, things will happen. I think the chances are that we could end up drawing against Hibs, but it doesn't mean say you're out of the league. You could end up beating Hibs and drawing against whoever it is. But it's going to be an interesting period over the next one, and it's maybe not getting too up and not getting too down.
Oh, well, Hibs fans want to beat us that much, because then Hearts can go further ahead. Do you know what I mean? Hibs fans will be thinking, what's the worst of two evils here? Letting Rangers win or letting Hearts win the league? Games.
They hate Rangers more than they love their own club, mate. There's so many teams like that in Scotland. They're not that intelligent to realise that if they beat Rangers, it's helping Hearts. I don't think.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to do a quick score prediction with that. I think will happen. I think Stab will definitely not play. I think there'll be either Aarons or Sterling. They'll get some games. I think they're going to rest him. Diamandi presumably was benched for the weekend, so he could play this Thursday night. Jamiti will be up front if he's fit, and then it's probably Gassama on the left and Moore on the right. And maybe they might go three in the middle of the park and make it a bit tighter as opposed to there, would be my take on it. But in terms of score predictions, I'll start with you, William. What do you think Thursday night?
I think possibly a score draw. I think maybe a really good result for us, to be honest. Hopefully Big Chermiti can score in his home country.
True. Yeah, but that point to prove over in Portugal. Ricky?
Yeah, I'll go 2-2, mate. I'll go 2-2. And I agree, Big Chermiti to grab a goal. And he's not scored since Celtic. I see people giving him stick, which I find unbelievable. But so I'll go 2-2, Big Chermiti.
There's a few in for 2-2 there and other draws. So, what was the last time, Scott? What was the last time we played Porto? What was the result over there? Stephen Gerrard was the manager. Do you remember?
I think we drew 1-1, didn't we? Alfredo scored.
Yeah.
I was there that night. We'd went to the academy game the night before it. I think it was Firhill at Partick when Rangers were playing in the UEFA Youth League. And then we flew out the next morning to Porto and Rangers drew 1-1. And we actually played really well that night.
We've got a great record against Portuguese teams in Scotland. You know what, as you said, whether it be Braga, Porto, or Lisbon, things like that. We've generally got a good record against Portuguese teams, bizarrely.
We have, Gary, and don't know why we seem to do well over in Portugal. So I'm going 1 each. I think a draw. I'm looking for a draw. Yeah, I think that's probably the best we'll get. And I'll be happy with that. I will say it's another wee bit more money, another point. Even though it's not worth a lot, but it's another point we get, and we can look forward to Hibs.
There was. And Paul just putting the comments. Remember the Pepe? That was the night Morelos was ragdolling Pepe out of the park, wasn't it? Do you know it was
brilliant.
Peak Alfredo at that time. So
I think we beat them. We was just before. I think we beat them the last two times we played them. We beat them at Ibrox, and then we beat them over there 3-2. Did we not?
I'm sure we beat them over there as well, aye.
We beat them 3-2, and then we beat them at Ibrox. Morelos scored a peach. That was one of his best goals for Rangers when we beat them 2-1 or 2-0.
Was that the one that came off the side of the foot, one into the top in the corner?
Brilliant.
Great goal.
Doug says the last time we beat them, we won 2-0.
There we go then.
Do
you know, it was all a blur because we're playing Braga, Benfica, Porto all the time over a couple of years, weren't you? Didn't know who you were playing against. There was that many games against Portuguese opposition. So anyway, we've came to the end of the pod. We will be back on Friday night. Friday night we'll then start us focusing on the league again, and in the league, which February is a huge month. February is where the league can make a break, as they say, and lots of big games. And I think if we get to the beginning of March, it then takes us to the Old Firm game again, isn't it? So that next month will probably really have a huge bearing on it for whatever happens. If we win our 4 games, there's a fair chance we'll be top of the league. If we don't win our 4 games, we should still be in around it potentially, because I imagine Hearts will win them all. So it's going to be an exciting time. So once we come back on Friday, we'll talk about the Porto game, put the Europa League to bed, and then start focusing heavily on the league and whoever may still to come in over the next couple of days of the transfer window. So thanks again, everybody, for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. For those that don't like to watch our faces and can see, you can also get us on Spotify if you wish to do so. And other than that, we will be back on Friday night. And thanks for watching. Take care. Bye now.